The following is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Southwest.
Your Rangers and the New York Yankees begin a four-game series tonight, pitting two teams in survival mode. Injuries have decimated both rosters. The Rangers hurt mostly on the pitching side, while the Yankees seem to have less than half their original starting lineup available to them. Things are looking better for your Rangers as the rotation is getting healthier. That starts with the return of Yu Darvish as he makes his return to the roster next. It is a beautiful, warm July evening here at Rangers Ballpark. A picturesque setting as the Rangers and New York Yankees get set to open up a four-game series. Welcome in, everyone, along with Tom Green, Steve Busby. Glad to have you along. Thanks for joining us on this Monday night of Ranger baseball. A lot of things going on tonight, and we'll start first of all with the Ranger rotation. We know for the next three of the next four games who their guys are going to be as far as the Rangers are concerned. This is subject to change, however, as far as the order goes.
Well, it's nice to have all these three guys pitching in a row. Very difficult to be the team you want to be when you don't have your starting pitching intact. Darvish, Ogando, Holland, all you have to do is look at the numbers and see what they mean to the rotation. Holland has been the rock of the rotation. He's been the only healthy guy throughout, but getting Darvish back and Ogando back is big. The guys filling in did a noble job. They did the best they could, but you're not going to be a contender for the last 2 months of the year unless you get healthy, unless you get these guys back. So it's nice to have them.
And the unconfirmed reports circulating around Rangers Ballpark tonight are that Matt Garza is getting set to join the Texas Rangers. Where he fits into all of this for the next 4 days, we'll find out. But we'll keep you updated on any developments as the game goes along tonight on the Matt Garza front. Tonight, however, it's going to be Yu Darvish. He has taken the hill in his return to the active roster. Darvish and the Rangers against the Yankees coming up next on Fox Sports Southwest. Ford dealer. Don't miss the Ford Summer Spectacular featuring blockbuster deals. Now playing at your best in Texas Ford dealer. By AT&T UVerse TV. Check availability at 1-800-PIC-ATT. Rethink possible. By Progressive. Visit Progressive.com today. And by Red 2. Now in theaters everywhere. A gorgeous night here this July 22nd. Beautiful setting for Major League Baseball, the Rangers and the Yankees. Before we get things underway, let's head down to the field where Dana Larson is standing by. Dana?
Buzz, thank you. For a second straight game, we have this early 6 p.m. start time, which means David Murphy will be battling that bright sunshine out in left field for an extra hour once again tonight. He lost the battle last night, but says he is ready for a second chance tonight.
I'm pretty honest with myself, and I'm the first to get on myself if I make a mistake like that, or don't make a play like I should. But there's not a whole lot I could have done differently. It's just it was the perfect things happen for kind of disaster to occur there.
Unfortunately, the perfect storm created by way too much sunshine. Just a microcosm of what was a frustrating weekend, but Buzz and Tom, one they hope is officially behind them.
All right, Dana, thank you. Yeah, let's hope that is officially behind them, and hope that all the folks piling into Ranger Ballpark in Arlington tonight are going to see the real Rangers show up. That was not a very good facsimile the Rangers had over the weekend. Now, here's that play from last night, and Tom, you can kind of sympathize with David Murphy's play.
Yeah, you hope if that ball's hit that you're the team that hits it, because it didn't matter whether David Murphy was in left field, whether Vernon Wells was in left field, or whether Mike Trout was in left field. The same thing was going to happen. The blinding sun and that ball, when they come together, you can't see it. There's just nothing you can do about it, and David's right. When his game starts at 6 o'clock, you have about an hour and 15 minutes of that sun. When it starts at 7, you only have 15 minutes, so you might get lucky. But I got to think there's a chance that one of the left fielders is going to see the same thing tonight.
Yeah, and there are even fewer clouds above than there were last night. Last night, at least we had a partial cloud cover early, but David didn't have the time when there's the sole cloud overhead tonight. But David didn't have the timing down right. He didn't wait till the ball got into the sun, I should say, got behind the cloud. But maybe that's what he's going to do differently tonight. Make sure that if a ball's hit his way, it's only when the sun is obscured by the cloud. He's going to have a hard time picking out a cloud big enough.
I think the other thing he's going to hope is he doesn't have one at all hit to him.
Yeah.
That's the one time as a defensive player you literally say to yourself, I hope they don't hit a line drive to me. High fly ball, not a problem, but those low line drives are a definite problem in left field.
Now, Yu Darvish to the hill, and we'll take a look at the Yankee lineup that he will face. Brett Gardner, the center fielder, leads off. He's followed by Ichiro Suzuki. Batting third, the second baseman, Robinson Cano. Lyle Overbay bats cleanup. He's the first baseman. Vernon Wells swinging a good bat now and playing in left field. Travis Hafner is the DH. He hits sixth. Eduardo Nunez, the shortstop, is next, and Chris Stewart, the catcher. And batting ninth, the third baseman, Luis Cruz.
And the scouting report for Yu Darvish. He's had 18 starts. He hasn't pitched in a couple of weeks. 8-4, a solid ERA. Tied for the most strikeouts in Major League Baseball. Career high 3 home runs given up June 25th at New York. His last start was a clunker against Houston. That was on July 6th. 6 innings, 6 hits, 5 runs against the Astros. Hasn't pitched in about 16 days to be exact. Hopefully the rest served him well. He's rejuvenated because the Rangers need him at the top of his form for the last couple of months of the season.
You saw that one outing against the Yankees in Yankee Stadium. He gave up 3 home runs, and it was that game that I guess prompted Yu Darvish to start having a little back and forth with some of the members of the press about his pitch selection. Darvish hopefully has gotten over that, and everything will work out well tonight. Well, the Ranger defense behind Darvish tonight: Murphy, Martin, and Cruz, left, center, and right. Moreland at first, Kinsler and Andrews up the middle, Beltray at third. Giovanni Soto getting the call behind the plate, and Yu Darvish on the mound. Umpiring crew this evening, the first of 4 games Wally Bell calling the balls and strikes. Kerwin Danley at first. Lance Barksdale at second. Vic Carapazza is over at third. So all set to get underway. Yankees come in at 52-46. They are in fourth place in the American League East, 7 games behind the division-leading Boston Red Sox. Meanwhile, the Rangers now have fallen 3 games off the pace in the West. They are 54-44. Well, Brett Gardner, a .280 hitter, pretty much taken over that leadoff spot. The absence of Derek Jeter. Jeter came back, if you remember, for 1 game and had to go back on the disabled list. So Gardner installed in that leadoff position. And he takes the first pitch a bit low for ball 1. Gardner with 7 home runs, 34 driven in. Last 3 games against Boston. Brett Gardner coming out of the All-Star break breathing fire. .545 the average. 1-1 the count.
I guess all the controversy buzz around Darvish is how many fastballs, what percentage should he throw with his fastball, what percentage should he throw with his breaking ball. A lot of people feel with his fastball and the velocity that he has, he ought to feature it a little more often. He came back and said, I'm not a fastball pitcher, I'm a breaking ball pitcher. I think it boils down to he has to pitch his game.
Exactly.
And if his game is breaking balls, then go for it.
If that's what he thinks, that's what he has to do.
Yeah. You can't turn him into something he doesn't believe he's not. That he is.
And I think the success he's had, he will figure out what he has to do. I have complete faith in him. Boy, that one coming up and in, and that fastball got Brett Gardner, and he just barely got his head out of the way. They're going to come out and check on him, and Darvish unleashing a fastball up and in, and that got Gardner.
The first 2 fastballs he threw were about 90 miles an hour. The last 2 were 95 miles an hour, including that one that just hit Gardner. That's a scary location, and obviously the first time back in 16 days, he's not trying to do that. Might have been trying to pitch in a little bit, but that one just got away from him. He had a couple of strikes on him. He wants to get Gardner out, keep him off the base paths.
Well, for Darvish, that is his 6th hit by pitch of the year. And Gardner aboard with great speed. Ichiro Suzuki at the plate, and that will necessitate Adrian Beltre, the third baseman, playing well in. Little toss to first, driving Gardner back. Ichiro steps in, hitting at .277. 6 home runs, 25 driven in. There's that statistic we talked about career-wise against Yu Darvish. Ichiro, a 500 hitter, 7 for 14.
Gardner has stolen 16 bases, but he's been thrown out 7 times. He's 16 for 23.
Rip and a miss.
That was a good cut fastball right there. That one had good life on it. It moved to the left and it moved down just a little bit. That's a good one.
Yep. That's exactly what if you want a definition of a cut fastball, look at that picture. That's what it's supposed to do.
And some of his buzz kind of flatten out.
Yep.
That was sharp.
Little loop around into shallow left center. Out goes Elvis. He's able to get there in time. And Ichiro just floating one out there. Kind of a typical Ichiro hit the last couple of years.
Yeah. Just didn't hit it far enough that time. Ichiro has a couple of home runs against the Rangers this year, so it hasn't just been bloopers. But the nice thing is that one didn't go over Elvis's head, and the angle that he had looking back at the hitter kept the sun out of his eyes too.
You can tell by the shadow that Elvis's body made that he wasn't looking right back into the sun.
Right.
See the shadows coming across the field, and light standards up on top showing the direction of the sun.
You go 10 or 15 degrees to the left, and that's the angle that David Murphy has, and that is into the sun.
So 1 out. Here is Robinson Cano, and he takes ball 1. Get a shot of David Murphy out there in left field. Boy, he's out there all by himself too, like being on an island. Not a thing he can do. Just hope that, like Tom said, hope that ball is hit up in the air where he can get it in underneath it and not have to look above the stands. Could be a double play to second for 1. The return to first in time. 4-6-3. Cano rounds into the twin killing. And Yu Darvish, despite the hit batter, has a 1-2-3 first. We played a half an inning. The Yankees nothing. The Rangers coming up on Fox Sports Southwest. Here at Rangers Ballpark, Fred Loy Insurance will bring you tonight's Rangers starting lineup. Ian Kinsler leads off. Mitch Moreland is batting second. Nelly Cruz in right field hits third. Adrian Beltre is the cleanup hitter. A.J. Brzezinski gets partial night off. He is DHing. Elvis Andrus in short. David Murphy bats seventh, plays left. Giovanni Soto is the catcher. And batting ninth, the center fielder, Leonis Martin. Ivan Nova to work. Ian takes a strike on the inside corner.
Ivan Nova, 4-2 on the season. He's had 10 games, 7 starts. His last 2 starts have been really good. 138 opponent's average. He's a ground ball pitcher. You can see you can see the 91-mile-an-hour sinker look like a splitter right there. 2.1 ratio. 9th in the American League if you've had 50 innings pitched or more. He's on a pretty good roll right now, the way he's been throwing the ball. Had a complete game against the Orioles, 8 innings against Kansas City.
Breaking ball, and that stays inside. That's his secondary pitch, the big curveball. He's kind of jettisoned the slider that he tinkered with last year, and he's gone back to his power curveball. Ian at 284, as you can see, trying to get aboard to start things off. 2-1 pitch, and it's 3 balls and a strike. Look at the Yankee defense. Wells in left, Gardner in center, Suzuki is in right. Overbay at first, Cano and Nunez up the middle, Cruz at third. Chris Stewart is handling Ivan Nova. Nova to the wide, the 3-1 pitch. And Ian taken all the way. The count has gone full. McKinn's trying to get aboard to start off the Ranger first inning. Mitch Moreland moving up to hit in the number 2 slot, waiting in that on-deck circle. Payoff pitch to Kinsler. Outside and low, ball 4, and Ian draws the leadoff walk. Well, folks, we told you we'd keep you updated on the Matt Garza information. It is now official. It was announced by the Rangers just a short while ago that the Rangers have acquired Matt Garza from the Chicago Cubs for a group of 4 players, including Mike Olt, C.J. Edwards, and Justin Grimm, and a player to be named. Garza this season, 6-1. He has really been throwing the ball well for Chicago. Last 5 starts, 5-0 with a 147 earned run average. So the Rangers get Garza that they meaning John Daniels and Thad Levine and company, worked so hard on the last 10 days or so. Kind of holed up in the war room, so to speak, and they finally got something worked out. So great to see, and don't think that's going to be the last move that the Rangers make prior to the deadline, or at least it wouldn't figure to me. Always a possibility, and John Daniels has said time and again, if there's a way to improve the ball club, they are willing to do it, and they're going to explore every opportunity. Mitch Moreland, a .260 hitter, 13 home runs, 38 driven in. Kinsler, a pretty good lead at first. And the bunt shown by Moreland. He takes it low. 2 balls and no strikes. You know, Ron Washington has had kind of a rotation at that number 2 slot. He's had David Murphy in there at times. Of course, Elvis Andrus has been in and out of there. And he's also had Leonis Martin up there. Jurickson Profar's hit there a few times. First time we've seen Mitch Moreland in that number 2 slot. Ron Washington trying to find somebody that
find something that clicks.
Yeah, just get somebody up there, even if it's only for a game. At least give the guys in the middle of the order an opportunity to hit with some people on base. To center field, Gardner in a hurry makes the catch, moving to his left, and back to first goes Kinsler. Well hit by Moreland. But Brett Gardner, a very good center fielder, able to corral it for out number 1. And Nelson Cruz coming out.
Yeah, there have been times where a manager has picked 9 names out of a hat and used that lineup. They've gone to even that kind of an extreme. Gardner shading over a little bit in left center field, but still had plenty of time to corral that ball in right center field. Well hit ball by Mitch. Just another atom ball. He was trying to get those balls to fall in like that when they hit him well. Or even if they don't.
Here's Cruz batting .273. And Kinsler draws a throw from Nova. Ivan Nova doesn't have a real quick move to first. He has a serviceable move, but he's so big and lanky. His footwork is not all that quick, so you can get a pretty good lead and a pretty good running lead for Ian Kinsler right now. Breaking ball, and that's in the dirt. Nice block by Chris Stewart. Getting back to the Matt Garza deal, great for the Rangers. We don't have any idea yet when Garza might make his Ranger debut, but one of the things we talked about in our opening remarks, the 3 names that were said, you had Darvish tonight, Ogando tomorrow, and Holland on Wednesday. That's tentative. And the only one we're sure of is Darvish tonight because he already pitched the first inning. But the others are subject to change, and depending on what Matt Garza has, Rangers may decide to plug him in earlier rather than later.
Well, the other thing that could happen, Bug, I think he was scheduled to pitch tonight, so they scratched him tonight. He's supposed to get here tomorrow. I guess he could throw a little bit on the side, take a day off, and start.
Yep.
I guess he could do that.
Could start on Thursday.
But the other side of it is he's ready to start today, so he could start sooner if they wanted to go in that direction.
1-1 the count. Nova a long set, the pitch way inside. And Cruz ahead in the count now, 2-1.
But the rotation takes on an entirely new look. Talked about the 3 guys that are pitching tentatively the next 3 days. Got Ogando coming back with Holland to go along with Darvish. You add Matt Garza to that, another guy that compares very favorably to those 3.
Cruz to right field. Ichiro started in and has to retreat. And makes the catch, moving toward the line near the corner. Well, Nelly Cruz an out to fairly deep right field, 2 away. Adrian Beltre will come up.
He gives you 3 veteran solid starters, and then the 5th starter becomes Martin Perez, and now the rotation takes on a whole different look to it. Perez has been the most consistent and best of all the young starters who have tried to fill in, and he's actually pitched very well. So having him now as the 5th starter certainly shows how much stronger the rotation will be.
Beltre pounded his 22nd home run of the year last night. Takes a strike from Ivan Nova. Adrian at .313. You can see he has not had much success against Nova. 22 home runs, tied with Nelly Cruz for the high water mark on the team. 56 RBI for the Ranger third baseman. Nova a long set and the 0-1 pitch. Now time called. Nova almost stumbling to home plate.
The Nova a couple of years ago was 16-4 for the Yankees. Last year he was 12-8, but his ERA was 5.02. Problem last year was home runs. He gave up 28 home runs last year. He only gave up 13 the year before. And this year he's only given up 3. So he had a strange year last year with the long ball. He's cut it down pretty well this year. Hasn't had as many innings, only 52 innings, but 3 home runs in 52 innings is very good.
And Adrian takes the pitch inside. It evens the count at 1-1. American League leaders in hits. See Adrian fourth. 121 is a hit behind Mike Trout. Miguel Cabrera continuing to lead, although Manny Machado catching up. He's only a couple behind. A ball and a strike to Beltre. Kinsler the lead from first. He's on the move. The pitch is outside. The throw is not in time. Cano going over to say something to Lance Barksdale, the second base umpire. I don't think he's real serious about it. And Joe Girardi going to come out just to make sure that the second baseman doesn't get carried away.
Yeah, Ian had a good jump, but it was a terrific throw by Stewart, the catcher. Watch how quickly Stewart gets rid of this ball that's down and away. Throws it right on the bag. Looks safe, but if it wasn't for the throw, the jump that he had should have led to an easy stolen base. But Stewart gave himself a chance by getting rid of it quickly and throwing a perfect throw.
Now I can see why Cano was arguing. He thought that he got Kinsler on the swipe tag, and what he was feeling was the ground. He hit it short of his arm. 2-1 the count to Beltre. A breaking ball, that is outside. So Cano, when he caught the ball and made that tag, probably thought right there that he had Kinsler's arm, but he was hitting the ground.
Yeah, I don't think he ever touched him.
I don't think he did either.
Lance Barksdale right on top of it.
3-1 to Beltre. Now 3-2.
Watch Nova pitch. He doesn't look like the kind of guy that would give up a lot of home runs. He throws a heavy sinker. His fastball is 91 to 95. But somehow he must not have had his sinker last year when he gave up 28 home runs.
Well, pitching in that shooting gallery in New York, I can understand how you give up some home runs too if you were a little bit off.
Yeah.
Payoff pitch is chopped foul. We'll try it again.
Yeah, he must have been a little bit off.
But Nova missed some time this year. He had an inflammation in his right tricep pitching arm that got him about a month on the disabled list. 3-2. Kinsler getting the lead from second as Nova reads the signs, and the right-hander comes set. Again, the payoff pitch to Beltre. The center field is dropping in a hurry. It's down for a hit. Here comes Kinsler. Here comes the throw. It's offline. Ian scored. Adrian Beltre with the RBI single. The Rangers jump on top 1-0. And there is your hit with runners in scoring position.
Well, that's a pitch that not many people can hit the way Adrian just hit it. High fastball, probably not a strike. Trying to throw it down and away, but it's up and in, actually right down the middle of the plate and up. And the result by missing that location is a rope to center field. Gardner had very little chance to throw out Kinsler, but nice start.
No hesitation by Gary Pettis, waving Ian Kinsler around, and the Rangers get on top 1-0. Now here's A.J. Przinsky. Going the other way, a base hit through the hole. Beltre will check in at second.
Another one of those base hits right at the shortstop, who was shading up the middle. So the shift gave AJ a hit right there. He'll take some away and he'll give you some. Third baseman playing way over, but that ball is pretty much hit right to almost straightaway shortstop. Rangers looking for one more hit now with men in scoring position.
The Rangers a couple of hits and a walk in the inning have taken a 1-0 lead. Elvis Andrus a chance to do some more damage with 2 outs. Elvis at 245, still looking for his first base knock against Ivan Nova. 0 for 9 is the Rangers shortstop. Breaking ball is a bit wide for ball one. Now, Wendy's will tell you now that that's better for Elvis Andrews. Reached base in 6 of his last 13 plate appearances. And that comes on the heels of reaching base only 4 times in the previous 21 plate appearances. And like Wendy said, now that's better. Elvis would agree with that. Slow chopper hit to the right side. Cano, a sidearm flip, and that'll do it for the Rangers. But they do come up with 1 run on a couple of hits and strand 2. They played an inning in Arlington. Rangers 1, Yankees nothing on Fox Sports Southwest. Well, the Rangers have their first lead of the post-All-Star break part of the season. Never did have the lead in any of the 3 games against Baltimore. They have a 1-0 lead here as we go to the second. Yu Darvish deals to Lyle Overbay. It's the outside corner about knee-high for strike 1. Overbay at 253. 11 home runs, 43 driven in. See, 0 for 3 against Yu Darvish. Tapper right back to him. Darvish a little underhand flip to Moreland, and Overbay is out number 1. Now, before Vernon Wells steps in, let's welcome Jim Knox to the show tonight. Jim.
I appreciate it, Buzz. Ranger fans having a good time, including these 2 little girls from Wolf City. Good to have them in the house tonight. Community Corner tonight. We're talking about spending the Labor Day with the Texas Rangers. You can do so in the annual Texas Rangers Labor Day race right here at the ballpark. Cross the finish line down on the field here at the ballpark. To find out more information and signing up, log on at texasrangers.com/foundation. Buzz?
All right, Jim, thank you. Vernon Wells, a big rip and a miss. It is 0-1. Vernon, you remember, an early season acquisition by the Yankees after Angels couldn't find a spot for him, and Vernon was on fire when he first started the season with the Yankees. Cooled off a bit, now has started to swing the bat very well once again. Veteran outfielder. Takes outside. It's 1 ball and 1 strike.
Yeah, early in the season, Vernon was one of the big reasons why the Yankees were hanging tough and why they were in first place on May 25th. Picking up the slack for the guys that were out of the lineup. There's a good slider.
1-2 to Wells, the local product. Yu Darvish about ready to throw his 15th pitch of the night. Late swing and a miss. And down goes Wells. That is strikeout number one for the Ranger right-hander.
Well, Buzz, I think you'd have to be pleased watching the mix of pitches that Darvish has used. We've seen a good cut fastball. We've seen 3 fastballs like that one at 95 miles an hour. We've seen a good slider. So far, the days off, 16 days to be exact, seem to be serving Darvish well. See how it progresses as the game goes on.
Yeah, and every time the stint on the DL was brought up, Ranger coaches and their skipper said, no, there's nothing wrong with him other with that a little rest won't help. And they were talking about fatigue, and that was the issue rather than an injury problem in and of itself. You had said that he's had a little shoulder problem, a little shoulder soreness, and all of a sudden, apparently that got blown out of proportion in that he was having an injury problem in the shoulder. He never did have that.
He definitely doesn't look hurt tonight. That's the 4th pitch he's thrown at 95 miles an hour. Look at that catch.
That's pretty good, Giovanni.
I don't know how he caught that ball. That was one you just lifted your glove up and it happened to bounce in your glove. It's one you want to make when a guy's stealing second base.
Yeah.
Catch that ball and throw him out. Go down as one of the great plays of the year.
Travis After having a little tough time lately for the Yankees. The DH up there with 2 outs, bases empty. Pops this one up near the mound. Moreland coming in. So is Moreland's going to take it right in front of Elvis Andrus. The shortstop had come in right behind second base. So another 1-2-3 inning. 9 pitches this time for Darvish. Yankees gone. Rangers leading 1-0. Full question of the evening. We would like to find out if you would like to see the Rangers retire Pudge Rodriguez number 7. And you can go to Twitter, and if you think they should retire it, it's hashtag FSRetire7. If not, hashtag FSKeep7. Keep 7 on the active numbers for the Rangers. We will figure out what the results are and get that to you a little later in the game. David Murphy, first ball swinging, blasts one to left field, but nice play by Vernon Wells to get back to the track and make the catch.
That's just not fair. David has one hit right in the sun yesterday, so he goes to left field, but it's hit high, and that's why Vernon Wells can go back. It looks like he's looking right in the sun, but actually that ball is above the sun. He's still distracted by the sun, but it didn't keep him from catching the ball. You hit a line drive to him, it might not be so lucky.
The one thing about the Yankees outfield defensively, you got 3 former center fielders playing there with Suzuki and Gardner and Vernon Wells, and good outfielders.
Yep.
And Vernon played that about as well as you can play it. So 1 gone on the long fly ball. Giovanni Soto up there. He takes the breaking ball for a strike. Evens the count at 1-1. Giovanni stepping in at 185, I should say. Got him on the fist, and Nova got a ground ball, but it was pulled just foul outside third. 1-2 now. Giovanni's 4 home runs, 9 RBI. Nova to the wind and back to the plate. Breaking ball in the dirt is swing and a miss. Stewart will have to complete the play down at first. He does so. And that is Nova's first strikeout. 2 gone. Leonis Martin now coming up.
Batting ninth, the center fielder, number 2, Leonis Martin.
So Nova, who gave up 2 hits and a walk for a run in the first inning, retired the first 2 very quickly here in the second. Leonis Martin stepping in, hitting .274. Batting average on the way down, and getting ready to go on another tear, you would think. He has been up and down, and certainly he was on a tear a little bit earlier that saw him with a 15-game hitting streak. 1-0 pitch to him. There's that big hook that drops in for a strike. Leonis, that 15-game hitting streak, he also hit safely in 22 of 23 games surrounding that 15 straight. 1-1 pitch to him. Another breaking ball that finds the back door open. It's 1-2. Martin just 1 for his last 11 and 4 for his last 31. That goes back over 10 ball games now. Way inside, that got him.
I thought it was going to go behind him.
Yeah. Yeah. Leonis hobbling around, and he will testify that it got him. Got him down near the back ankle, his left ankle. Jamie Reed can go out there and see how the youngster is. It did go behind him. Went behind his front leg.
All that spin on it, when it hits, it comes right straight back to the right. Didn't look like it caused any major damage. I'd be surprised if he can't stay in the game.
Yeah, he's walking around and limping less as time goes on. So Jamie Reed and Ron Washington are feeling pretty good about Leonis Martin. He's not feeling real good about it right now. His ankle is aching. Well, Martin with good speed at first. 2 outs. Ian Kinsler, who walked and scored the Ranger run last inning, will step up there. And a throw to first by Ivan Nova. Kinsler having a good homestand with 3 games against Baltimore. He went 4 for 12. Takes a breaking ball that dips a bit low for ball 1. Multiple hits in 6 of his last 12 ball games for Ian Kinsler. Next pitch to him. That breaking ball finds the mark. It is 1-1. Ian never has enjoyed hitting against Yankee pitching in the regular season. He's a .212 lifetime hitter. That's second lowest against any opponent for Ian. .205 against Toronto. Takes that pitch low, and it's 2-1. Whole infield now bathed for the most part in shadows. Outfield from center field around to the left field line, and brilliant sunshine still. The 2-1 pitch coming from Nova. Check swing, a fastball, and it's a called strike. 2-2. Wally Bell ringing that pitch up.
Upper part of the strike zone, but in the strike zone.
A good look at the shadows. Just that stripe of sunlight going from second to third base and then out into right center.
Last couple of games, Ian has had that pitch and hit it to right field. He hit a ground ball right down the right field line for a double. Another ball hit a line drive that way, too.
Yeah, and I think as a result of that, you saw where Ichiro was on that shot of the outfield, shading toward the line a little bit more than we're used to seeing guys. So maybe the advanced scouts for the Yankees picked that up too, Tom.
Yeah, I'm sure they did.
Check swing, and the pitch is in the dirt. So the count has gone full, and with 2 outs now, Leonis Martin will be off and moving with the next pitch. Ian trying to get aboard for the second time tonight. Mitch Moreland waiting in the on-deck circle, hoping to have a shot at Nova here in the second inning. Leonis steps off that lead. Nova comes set. Payoff pitch. Breaking ball, and Kinsler just got a piece of it. You talked about Ivan Nova going away from that slider, going to the big hard hook. He's got a power curveball that really has some good bite on it. You can throw that thing for a strike on 3-2. You're going to get a lot of hitters, but Ian able to foul off a pretty tough pitch. Got another 3-2 coming. Fastball, call strike 3. Wally Bell ringing up Kinsler on that pitch down and away, and he ain't having something to say to Bell. But that'll do it for the Rangers. No runs, no hits. The hit batter, Leonis Martin, left stranded. We're going to the third, 1-0 Texas. Years of service. Join millions of fans and subscribe today. You can watch every out-of-market game live online on your favorite mobile and connected devices in HD quality with MLB.TV Premium. Visit MLB.TV today. MLB.TV, it's baseball everywhere. Eduardo Nunez leading things off here in the third inning. Rangers leading 1-0. Yu Darvish back to the plate, and Nunez cues one foul back to the screen. It's no balls and 2 strikes. Nunez just came off the disabled list last week. Only been able to get into 39 games this year. And the shortstop has been a black hole for the Yankees this year, losing Jeter and then Nunez, the primary backup they had. Nunez, you can see, a 240 hitter with no home runs, 8 driven in. 0-2 pitch from Darvish. In the air, shallow right field. Kelly Cruz in and over to his right a couple of steps. That is out number 1. Again, the ball not hit very sharply. Nunez retired. Now Chris Stewart.
Well, Darvish looks pretty sharp. He's had 7 outs fairly quick in this game. Only 21 pitches. Throwing a lot of strikes, mixing them up well, featuring his fastball. So far, so good.
You know, I think the last couple of times we saw Darvish, Tom, before he went on the disabled list, he looked a little bit mentally fatigued.
Yeah, he did.
He looked out of sorts, and he had body language that we are not accustomed to seeing from him. He looked frustrated at times with himself. There's not a hint of that in his language out there on the mound tonight.
No, that 16 days off really came at the right time for him. And I think he would say that. In fact, I think he did say that. He welcomed the opportunity to have it. Said he had it in Japan a couple of times too.
2 balls, no strikes to count to the Yankee catcher, Chris Stewart. Darvish back to the plate and fires a strike about knee high. It's 2-1. Chris Stewart mired in a 2-for-20 streak. The next Darvish offering popped up, foul territory. Moreland coming over, but that ball will be back a couple of rows behind the Ranger dugout, and the count is even at 2-2. In case you're just joining us again, the official word from the Rangers this evening, they have acquired Matt Garza from the Chicago Cubs in a deal for a package of 4 players. Mike Holt, Justin Grimm, C.J. Edwards, and a player to be named. They were sent to the Cubs in exchange for the 29-year-old right-hander Matt Garza. Will figure to be here sometime tomorrow. Swing and a miss. And second strikeout recorded by Yu Darvish, 2 away. And we will have a soundbite with John Daniels talking about the Garza deal a little bit later on in the ballgame for you. And let's take time right here for a Mazda game break. Here's John Radigan. All right, John, thank you. Big breaking ball bends over the inside corner to Luis Cruz. And there's the team you were talking about yesterday, Tom, the Tampa Bay Rays. Boy, they are just smoking hot.
They're hot. They've been about 22 or 23 games over 500 in their last 65 or 70 games.
0-2 the count. And coming into play tonight, the Rays only a game and a half behind the front-running Boston Red Sox. Rays at 58-41. It's the second best record in the American League, third best record in all of baseball. Fastball high, it kind of slips up to the top of the strike zone, and it's a ball and 2 strikes to Luis Cruz.
Well, no team in baseball has done a better job of developing young pitchers than Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
You know, they can trade Wade Davis and James Shields in the offseason, replace them with Chris Archer, young pitcher from their farm system, and not miss a beat.
Mitch Moreland having to come in a hurry. That ball not hit very high in the air, but he's there in time to get it. And through the first 3 innings, Yu Darvish has faced the minimum. Nothing going for the Yankees after 2.5. Rangers 1, Yankees nothing. by your Texas Ford dealer and by Jack in the Box. Mitch Moreland starting off the third inning for the Rangers. Texas on top 1-0. It'll be Moreland, Cruz, and Beltrade. First three to do the swinging against Ivan Nova. Mitch lined out to center field his first time to the plate. Hitting a number 2 slot tonight, and he takes a breaking ball that dips in. That evens the count at 1-1. Moreland, you see 13 home runs, 38 RBI for the Ranger first sacker. It's fisted, hits a little looper into foul territory. Out goes the third baseman Cruz. A great over-the-shoulder catch. And he hung on as he crumpled to the turf. Oh, what a play by Luis Cruz, the third baseman, playing over in the hole. He had a long way to go for that. And as he caught the ball, his spikes looked like they caught in the turf.
You can see the turf right there, cut up right before he fell down. There it is right there, the divot that he took. He went a long way to catch that ball in a short amount of time. There's not many third basemen that are quick enough to get back and catch that ball. Just on a dead sprint straight over his head. Slides, but his feet just jammed right into the turf. The turf didn't give. Oh, beautiful play.
Wow.
You don't get an idea how hard that play is. His back is completely to the plate on a dead run and makes a beautiful play.
Well, Cruz being helped to his feet, and looks like he's going to be okay. And Joe Girardi told him, look, we've got to be okay because we don't have anybody else to play. We're out of people.
Well, Mitch has hit the ball hard right at the center fielder. Makes a bid to have a blooper fall in, and has a spectacular play made by Cruz.
Luis Cruz, the good news is he's all right. Bad news for the Rangers is Moreland's not on base. Now Nelly Cruz will come up. Nelson lined to right field his first time up. 272 the average as Nova goes to the wind. Fastball makes it 1-0. Cruz just 1 out of 9 in this series against Baltimore. Chops this one toward the hole. Off the glove of Nunez into left field. That'll undoubtedly be a base hit.
That ball just ate him up. Look, I had some top spin on it. I get picked up speed when it hit the ground right in front of him and just shot right by him. Not sure what he could have done with it even if he caught it.
If you ever played one of those Super Bowls and it bounced the ball around and it goes crazy, that looked like one of those.
Yeah.
That's what Nunez thought too.
It definitely bounced higher than he thought it was going to bounce.
Well, the third hit of the night has Cruz aboard with 1 out. Adrian Beltre had the RBI single in the first inning. Makes the breaking ball inside for ball 1. So Adrian now 57 RBI. Batting average up to .314. Adrian came into the play tonight 6th in the American League with his batting average. Takes a little bit low, and it's 2 balls, no strikes. Ford leaderboard tonight will show you the league leaders for batting average in the month of July. And even though Adrian's slipped off a bit the last few games, he is still third, or actually tied for second, with Victor Martinez at 397. Robinson Cano, the Yankee second baseman, tops the chart at 407. 2-0 the count. Boy, Adrian had a rip at that fastball and fouled it straight back. I think he'd like to have a mulligan on that. That's pretty much in the sweet part of the strike zone for a hitter. A 2-1 the count. Nova okays the sign, a check of first. Cruz with a very modest lead over there. And Beltray waiting on that breaking ball pretty well, but fouled it straight back. It's 2-2. Beltray going down in his liftoff position.
Signature swing right
yeah,
there.
it sure is. Now the 2-2. I don't know how in the world to get that. That sinker coming down and into him. It looked like it was about ready to go between his feet.
Yeah, a couple of people to mention tonight, Buzz Christie and Billy Hammond from DeSoto recently celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary. Congratulations, Christie and Billy, on that. Helen Hatfield from Wichita Falls is 90 years old today. Happy birthday, Helen. Hope you're watching tonight.
And Beltray pops it up. Cano out on the rim of the infield, now comes back in. The wind playing havoc with that one. And Cano able to make the grab. That is out number 2 with Cruz staying at first. And going to bring up A.J. Brzezinski.
I want to say hello to Ray Cash. He watches every game from his rehab facility in Denton, Texas. Thanks for being such a good fan, Ray. Thanks for watching.
So A.J. steps in, having singled on the first pitch that he saw from Nova tonight. A shot right through the shortstop hole his first time up. And Nova ready to work to him. Breaking ball, and that's a bit low. Folks, want to remind you, you can play Lotto Texas with Extra for your chance to win Texas-sized jackpots. It's Texas' original jackpot game, and it's available at your favorite lottery retailer. 1 ball, no strikes. Nova to Brzezinski. That's base hit to right field. Cruz to second will put the brakes on as Ichiro gets the ball back in quickly. So AJ is 2 for 2 tonight. Rangers have runners at first and second for Elvis Andrus. Same situation that Elvis came up with the first time.
Second well-hit ground ball for AJ early in the count. Not wasting any time. Grounded one into left field through shortstop the first time up. This time he gets one tailing away on the outside part of the plate and pulled this one in the hole. Both of them hit well. Elvis, with 2 men on the last time, hit a little dribbler to second base, looking for a better at bat this time up.
Cruz at second, Brzezinski at first, and the pitch to Elvis, a check swing, and it's a strike anyway. Elvis has been on that yo-yo ride here of late. He has gone up and down and back and forth, and 0 for 1 tonight makes him 4 for his last 12. But then you go back over a longer streak. He's a 185 hitter. A rip and a miss down on the count here. 0-2. Elvis has talked quite a bit lately about the inconsistency. He said it's as confounding to him as it is to anybody. He's got guys at first and second now. Cruz at second, Brzezinski at first. A chance to do some damage. The 0-2 pitch got him swinging. Big breaking ball, and third strikeout of the night for Ivan Nova. Rangers gone. They get a couple of hits with Strand too. We have played 3 in Arlington as the Rangers won, the Yankees nothing on Fox Sports Southwest.
30,000 Ranger fans that come in the gates. Hey, they get a nice, beautiful tote bag. You can go take it swimming. You can take it going grocery shopping like Monty here does, looking friendly. Also, it's not a purse, it's a tote bag. Everybody's yelling it's a purse. It's not a purse, it's a tote bag. First 30,000 fans, July 30th. Way to go, Monty. Good model tonight. There you go. All right.
I'm not going to tell Monty that thing's a purse.
That's
I'll tell you
right.
that. That guy, he would look serious. I got to mess with him.
Nazi, be careful now. We don't want you to find you stuffed in one of those tote bags. Rangers leading 1-0. We head to the top of the fourth inning. 0-1 the count to Brett Gardner. Gardner hit by a 1-2 fastball his first time up. He has been the only base runner for New York tonight against Yu Darvish.
That's about the 6th or 7th fastball that he's popped at 95 miles an hour. He's had good command, 23 strikes, only 9 balls. Good velocity. Only pitch that really got away from him was the one he hit Gardner with.
Yep.
That was 95 miles an hour. Gardner wishes it was a slow curveball.
0-2 pitch. Ran that fastball off the outside corner at 96.
Haven't seen the slow curveball yet.
Haven't seen anything slow.
Yeah, won't be disappointed if we don't see it either. Yankees saw a few of those in Yankee Stadium when they hit 3 home runs.
Yeah. They did that. Now the 1-2. Here's a slower breaking ball. That slider. Took a little bit off of it. And Gardner able to fight it off. Still a ball and 2 strikes. But Gardner, after being hit by a pitch in the first inning, then was erased on a double play ball off the bat of Robinson Cano. Darvish okays the sign. The right-hander's ready. Got him swinging. Upstairs at 97. And Brett Gardner didn't have a key to that floor on the elevator.
The Yankees are seeing a little bit different stuff than they saw in New York. And they're definitely seeing a little bit different stuff than Houston saw 16 days ago when he gave up 5 earned runs in 6 innings. That just overmatched Gardner. That at bat. A combination of an 84-mile-an-hour slider and a 97-mile-an-hour fastball going to overmatch a lot of people.
Now Ichiro to the plate. Suzuki, a little pop out to shortstop. He takes the slider in for strike 1. You know, whatever Yu Darvish says he is, the kind of pitcher that he is tonight, I like it. I don't care what it is, what you call it.
Just keep doing the same thing.
Yeah. This is fine. And if you think that's a breaking ball pitcher, more power to you.
Yeah, fine. Just like you can call a slider a cutter, you can call it a slider, you can call it a curveball if you want. Doesn't really matter. Get people out with it.
Yep. I know what hitters would call it. Can't really discuss that on the air.
It looked like either a changeup or a splitter at 88 miles an hour and really fooled Ichiro. Is way out in front of it.
1-2 now, the count to Suzuki.
You know the Yankee hitters on the bench are saying he's got good stuff tonight.
Yeah. Chopper it out to second. Kinsler, quick release, and he gets Suzuki by a couple of steps.
And he's had good stuff a lot of times this year, but I'd say very few times he had better stuff than he's got right now.
I can't recall it. Folks, we'd like to invite you to join us at On the Border for dinner every Tuesday night, now through August the 13th. And you can enter to win free Rangers tickets and a VIP Rangers experience. Just visit otbfanzone.com for more details. So 2 gone very quickly here in the 4th inning. Robinson Cano. The one guy in this order that I would be extremely careful with in a close ball game. Takes a strike on the outside corner.
Yeah, his best cutter that he's thrown 3 or 4 better than he's thrown all year tonight. That looked like one there. Just caught the outside corner. And he's only thrown 40 pitches with 2 outs in the 4th inning. A lot of times his pitch count gets away from him a little bit.
And what he's done tonight, again, I don't care what he calls it. You keep the pitch count down like that, you overmatch people the way he has, and this is exactly what Rangers were hoping he would turn into. That pitch just a shade low. 1-1 now to Cano. 12-game hitting streak, longest of the season for Robinson. We showed you he's the best hitter average-wise in the American League in the month of July. Darvish with the 1-1 pitch. Hard hit, but right at Kinsler. Ian stays down with it nicely on to first. Another 1-2-3 inning, and that would be about 13 straight set down. We played 3.5. Rangers leading 1-0 on Fox Sports Southwest. O'clock right here on Fox Sports Southwest for Chevy Hometown Kids. It's not about the score, it's about the experience. The kids and their parents having a good experience out here tonight. Rangers leading 1-0. David Murphy starting things off in the bottom of the fourth inning. Murphy hit a long fly ball to left field that Vernon Wells tracked down right at the edge of the warning track first time up. 1-1 pitch from Ivan Nova. Chopped toward the third base side, cut off by Cruz. That is out number one. So David makes a right turn at first, heads back to the Ranger dugout 0-2, and Giovanni Soto will be next. Mentioned Nova really on a good roll of late, working 8+ innings. 8 innings last time out, and then 9 innings the time before that, his first major league complete game. He has really been throwing well, and the Yankee folks say that he's cut down on the number of times he's really erratic out of the strike zone. It used to be that Nova would go through streaks where he was good and then lose command of the strike zone completely for a little while. They say he really hasn't been doing that since he came back off the disabled list, and times he worked in relief and then back into the starting rotation. He's really been consistent. Soto, a strikeout victim his first time. Takes the pitch inside, and the count runs to 3-0. So Giovanni trying to get aboard with one out here in the fourth inning. Leonis Martin, the Ranger center fielder, is waiting to be next. Nova's 3-1 offering. And ball 4 puts Soto aboard. Giovanni drawing the walk. Second pass issued by Nova tonight. And before Leonis Martin steps in, let's go down and visit with Dana Larson. Dana?
Well, Buzz, just moments ago, General Manager John Daniels speaking with the media about the official acquisition of Matt Garza, a pitcher they have coveted for some time now, and now only have to wait a few short days to see him on the mound in a Ranger uniform.
He's going to fly into DFW tonight and then come work out here tomorrow. Probably Wednesday is when we're thinking, but we're kind of reserve right to change that. Let's let him get with Wash and Mike, and then we'll set that in.
Buzz and Tom, John Daniels also talked about how they obviously had the desire to make this trade, but also the players to do it. He said, we paid a steep price to get Matt, but we did so knowing that we have other players in the system. So they had to put together a substantial package to get a quality player, but a trade-off they were obviously willing to make, guys.
All right, Dana, thank you. It's, I think, a very good trade for the Rangers, no matter what Garza does after the end of the season. Whether you'd like for him to stay around if he's healthy and fits in the Rangers' plans. But just for the next 3 months, him being in a Ranger uniform and being a contributing member of what hopefully is a playoff team that goes deep into the playoffs, the important part. 0-2 pitch. Leonis Martin takes outside. Martin hit by a pitch, his first time up. Yeah, the other side of it, Tom, too, you and I had talked a little bit about this, but the effect that getting a guy like Garza to come in and pitch for you will have on the rest of the guys in the clubhouse, right? I think it could have a real positive effect from the standpoint of guys saying, hey, we're getting the people we need. Now it's up to us to get things in gear and get the job done. And Leonis Martin gone on strikes, and that is out number 2 to bring up Ian Kinsley.
Yeah, Martin thought it was the third out. Martin dropped his helmet, took the guard off his leg, was getting ready to look for his glove and go out to center field, and realized Nova was still on the mound. It was only the second out. Yeah, I think if I'm a player in the clubhouse, Buzz, and I see an acquisition like that, it pumps me up. You know that the organization, as they've done the last 3 or 4 years, is doing everything they can to give the team the best chance to win. I think that's a real boost for the players in the clubhouse, no doubt. It also might not be the last thing that John Daniels and his staff have in mind either. Yeah, maybe, but it certainly might not be. We've seen him make 4 or 5 moves at the trade deadline to make the team better.
Yeah, and he has made no bones about the idea that the Rangers would love to add another bat to the lineup if they can find the right deal. And certainly think that's still in the offing. Cruz across the diamond. Kinsley retired. Rangers gone in the 4th. No runs, no hits. The Walker left stranded. We have finished 4. It's the Rangers 1, the Yankees nothing on Fox Sports Southwest. Leonis Martin. He'll be at the Grand Prairie location. That's on Carrier Parkway. Don't miss this chance to win some great prizes and to meet one of your Texas Rangers at Whataburger. Now, during the break, the large crowd on hand, waving the rally towels in unison. Chuck Morgan got everybody pumped up, and it's a nice thing to see. Usually reserved for the playoffs, but it's kind of a preview of October or November. Yu Darvish starting things off to Lyle Overbay, and joining us here in the booth, Mark McLemore, co-host of Rangers Live, pre and post game show. Mac, Rangers still not going great guns offensively, but right now, tonight, they have not needed to because of what Yu Darvish has been doing.
Well, this is definitely something they've been missing on the mound. You know, starting pitcher that's going out and throwing goose eggs up on the scoreboard and not getting into trouble. So they haven't needed a whole lot of offense, but they've generated some. They scored a run in the first inning, and that's something else that they haven't been doing an awful lot of. So a couple of things working in their favor so far tonight.
Overbay down on the count, 0-2 to Darvish. Darvish has struck out 3 through the first 4 innings. That's out of play down the left side. I know you and John Radigan have talked a lot about the Garza thing, and I guess it wasn't made official until after you guys were off the air. But your thoughts now that it is official and John Daniels feels like he'll be pitching probably Wednesday?
I like it.
Yeah.
I like Matt Garza. I've always liked him. I think he's a competitor. He takes the ball every 5th day, and he competes. He gives his team an opportunity to win a ball game pretty much every time he goes out there. I like the fire that he brings to a ball game every time he's out there. And, you know, I remember a couple of skirmishes he got into with his catcher in Tampa. And, you know, you don't like to see that, you know, between teammates. But I actually like that. That's just that fire that he brings, that intensity. He wants to win. And, you know, I don't know what the problem was or whatever, but I just like that fire. He cares. And, you know, and to go along with that, he's got some pretty good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and apparently the way he's been pitching lately, especially, he's back to what we remember of Matt Garza being never a dominant type pitcher as far as stuff goes, but the combination of good stuff with the ability to pitch and compete has been his hallmark.
And that's what you want. I mean, you know, going out and getting a number one guy trading deadline, it's tough. There aren't many teams that can pull it off. But getting a guy that can give you an opportunity to win every 5th day is what you really want, especially with the kind of offense, the kind of team the Rangers have.
A little looper, Beltre going back, and he can't get it. It's over his head. Drops in for the first hit of the night. So Yu Darvish goes the first 4 innings without giving up a hit, and Lyle Overbay leads off the 5th with the looping single.
He was late on the fastball, fouling him off, got jammed, but was able to muscle it over the infield for that little blooper. Ran the fastball right in on his fists. Ended up for a base hit, though.
So 1 on, nobody out. Vernon Wells, who struck out his first time to the plate, will step in. Popped up, foul territory. That's going to drift back into the 3rd row behind the Ranger dugout. Mitch Moore went over to take a look, but it was well out of his reach. 0-1, the count to Wells. And what about the effect? Tom and I talked about it a little bit, but the effect on the clubhouse. If you're in that Ranger clubhouse, you feel excited about getting a guy like Garza, or does it not make that much of a difference to you as a player?
I think it makes a big difference. They know Matt Garza. They faced Matt Garza, so they know what kind of pitcher he is.
Easy play for Leonis Martin. That's out number 1.
They know what kind of player they're getting. They know what kind of pitcher he is. They may not know what kind of teammate he is, but I'm assuming some of the guys know him. They've talked to him. They're friends with him. So I'm pretty sure they've got to be happy that he's coming to this ball club, and he's going to give him a chance to win. He's going to go out there and definitely compete. I'm sure there were some high fives going on in the clubhouse when it became official, in the dugout, or whenever it became official, and they found out. I'm sure that there were some high fives and some, yes, nice job.
Yeah, and I think that my opinion of it anyway is that it reflects well on John Daniels and Nolan Ryan, the entire organization. They're willing to go out and they spent, as John Daniels said, some pretty important reserves, if you will, from their bank of minor league players to get Matt Garza, but they're willing to do that to make this ball club better. And I think the players in that clubhouse certainly appreciate the commitment of the organization all the way through to the ownership.
You have to. When you've got an opportunity to win, you never know when that opportunity is going to come up again. You can't say just because you've got a team that's contending this year that team is going to contend next year. So when you've got that opportunity and you have those pieces, you've got to find a way to use them, because it's not a given that you're going to be in contention next year, even though you've got that same team. So when you've got those pieces, you've got to use them if you can, if it's right. I'm not saying you've got to give up the house,
right.
But if it's right, you've got to use them.
There's a lot of teams couldn't afford to make that trade because they didn't have enough players after the 2 or 3 that they would have traded to make up depth in your farm system. The Rangers, after that trade was made, they still have one of the best farm systems in baseball. They have 10, 15, 20 good prospects that they could use to fortify our big league team or to make another trade if they wanted to. Those were far from the only 3 guys they had. Makes it a little easier to trade for a guy that might not be here after the season.
Overbay, the runner at first. Travis Hafner waiting for the 2-1 pitch. Lays off the breaking ball, and the count moves to 3 balls and a strike. Hafner popped out to Mitch Moreland back in the 2nd inning. But Darvish having his first rough spot of the evening. And with the leadoff single, he's fallen behind now after one is out to Hafner. Darvish a couple of looks over his shoulder at Overbay, and the right-hander's ready for the 3-1 pitch. Outside, ball 4, and there are 2 aboard with 1 out. Eduardo Nunez coming up. Soto out to have a little visit with you, Darvish. Get him focused back on whatever the focus had been in the first 4 innings. That's where you want to get back to, and sometimes it's relatively easy to do. Sometimes it's very elusive to get back there. Nunez, a fly ball to right as he led off the 3rd inning. Overbay at 2nd, Hafner at 1st. 1 out, Rangers with the defense set for the double play grounder. A rip and a miss. It's 0-1. Mac, as far as potential other trades coming up, do you think there's a distinct possibility or less of a possibility now that the Garza deal has gone down? Does this have any effect, getting Garza, on the possibility of another trade?
I don't think it has an effect on it. I think there's still, like Tag was saying, there's still some guys that the Rangers have, some other pieces that they have to move, some very attractive pieces that wouldn't necessarily affect the big league club. I mean, there might be 1 or 2 pieces on the big league staff that can go, or on the big league club, that could go in a trade to bring someone significant. A right-handed bat that they say they need. And some pieces in the minor leagues to go along with that. So I don't think it affects it at all.
Well, there is just
that didn't look like a breaking ball pitcher right there.
It didn't to me either, Tom. I agree with you.
Like 3 straight 95 and 96 mile an hour fastballs. See you later. It's almost like Darvish looked at Hafner and said, he may only be hitting 212, but he's got some power, and in a 1-0 game, I'm going to be careful to Hafner. But he just went right at Nunez and just threw 3 fastballs right straight by him.
Well, 2 gone now. Runners remain at 1st and 2nd. Chris Stewart, Yankee catcher up there, who struck out his first time to the plate. And that breaking ball just off the outside corner for ball 1.
There's games, Buzz, where that slider would have been a pitch he would have thrown 15 or 20 times by now.
Yeah.
He's only thrown a handful of them.
Darvish a check of 2nd. That breaking ball catches the upper part of the strike zone. Gets 1-1 to Stewart. Stewart, a .239 hitter, has a little pop. 3 home runs and 15 driven in. Yu Darvish trying to weather his first mini storm of the evening. Another good slider. That has some teeth on it. That thing's biting on the outside corner and taking big chunks out of it. That's the kind of breaking ball that scouts will look at and say it's got good depth to it. Seems like it doesn't break till it gets about 5 feet in front of home plate. The 1-2 on the way. Fouled back. Stewart in survival mode there.
And when you think of a guy that's a breaking ball pitcher, an 84, 85 mile an hour slider is probably not in his repertoire. The 85 mile an hour slider is in the repertoire of a power pitcher.
Yep.
75%, 74% fastballs today.
Darvish again ready for the 1-2 to Stewart. Popped up. And the infield, Ian Kinsler coming down right at the cut of the grass, makes the catch. And Yu Darvish able to work around a single and a walk. He leads the pair stranded. We're halfway through the ball game. The Rangers leading the Yankees 1-0 on Fox Sports Southwest. And Adrian Beltre to try and expand on a 1-0 Ranger lead. And Mitch 0 for 2 tonight. He is lined to center and popped out. A great play by the third baseman, Luis Cruz. Took a looping double away from Morgan last time up. Overshift is on. The Yankees with 3 infielders on the right side of the diamond. Cruz the only one left on the left side. And this hit right into the teeth of the shift. Robinson Cano. On to first. Moreland is retired. Now Nelson Cruz.
Right fielder, Nelson.
Nova has scattered 4 hits over the first 4 innings. He was able to put a couple of them together with a walk in the first and score the only run so far. Nelly Cruz singled his last time up. He is 1 for 2 and batting average now at .274. Tom and I had talked, Mac, about the effect of getting guys back into the starting rotation, get them healthy again. The effect that a guy coming from the outside like Garza has, you just talked about being an important factor in how it's viewed in the clubhouse. What about getting a guy back off the DL? Ogando, not so much Darvish, because I don't think anybody was really worried about Darvish, but Ogando, and then the potential of maybe Kobe Lewis down the road somewhere. Can that have the same kind of effect?
I think it can. I think that's just like making a move for another player, trading for a player, bringing him over, because these guys have been gone for so long. You remember what they did when they were healthy, and now they're back, especially Kobe Lewis. He's been gone for over a year now, so having him come back and remembering what he did when he was healthy, it's a great move.
Line drive to left, and that is right at Vernon Wells.
Needed to hit that about 25 minutes ago. That would have been the same ball that was hit at David Murphy. The exact same ball.
Well, before Adrian Beltre steps in, let's take time for a Mazda game break. Once again, here's John Radigan. All right, John, thank you. The base is empty here, 2 away. Adrian Beltre drove in the game's only run so far with that first inning single. He is 1 for 2, and he pops it up. On the infield, Overbay, the first baseman, playing in the wind, and that will do it. So the Rangers go quietly. We finished 5, and Mark McLemore, thanks very much for joining us. We appreciate it. We'll see you after the ball game.
All right, guys.
Rangers leading 1-0 as we head to the 6th. Is brought to you by the all-new Mazda 6. When you change everything, you change everything. Yu Darvish back to the hill. How about the pitch count? Tom, you talked about this. Last 3 starts, he's averaged 112 pitches in 6 innings per start. Tonight, 63 pitches in 5. That's
he's thrown 46 strikes in 18 balls. It's been excellent so far tonight.
Like one of our sponsors, Wendy's, says, now that's better.
That is better.
Yeah. There's that big slow hook that hangs up high.
And, it's one you got to think twice before you throw that pitch in a 1-0 game after what's happened to it a number of times this year. Darvish gave up 14 home runs last year. He's given up 15 this year, and a number of them have come off of that pitch right there.
A little tapper foul that goes toward the Ranger dugout. A ball and 2 strikes. The count to Luis Cruz, the number 9 man, leading off the 6th. Yu Darvish has allowed just the 1 hit. That was a leadoff single last inning to Lyle Overbay. A little blooper that went over the head of Adrian Beltre at third. 1-2 pitch. And another hanger that he got away with. That was a little harder breaking ball, the slider. Darvish okays the sign from Giovanni Soto. It's fouled right back below us into the club level, and then kangaroos out of here back down into the lower seating bowl. Still 1-2. Darvish trying to get the leadoff man here in the 6th inning. Cruz an acquisition from the Los Angeles Dodgers by the Yankees. He was designated for assignment, and Yankees made a deal with the Dodgers to bring him in. Having a real tough time was Luis Cruz with the Dodgers this year, hitting just $127 in 30 games for him, 45 games, excuse me. Last year, however, he had $297 with the Dodgers in 78 games. So this guy can swing the bat. Pitch gets away from Darvish, and the count evens at 2-2. Temperatures now down to the mid-90s here at about 7:45 local time. Sun no longer a factor out in left field. The entire outfield bathed in shadow. Just the little squiggles of sun out there behind second base into right center field.
Well, Cruz not having a lot of great swings, but he is making him throw some pitches. He's taking defensive swings and making the bat hit the ball. None of those balls would go anywhere if you put them in fair territory.
9th pitch of the at bat, and another foul ball. A couple of those pitches that you see in the spray chart there, a couple of the high ones were slow breaking balls, and that's not exactly where you want to have those. Soto finally comes up with a sign that Darvish had in mind, and Cruz backs out as he was tired of waiting. Rangers leading 1-0. They have out-hit the Yankees 4-1. We play in the 6th inning with nobody out. 2-2 pitch. High, it's 3-2. Now Cruz having a tough at bat. He will see the 11th pitch before he is disposed of, and maybe more. He's trying to get aboard. Brett Gardner, the leadoff man at the top of the order, waiting next.
Darvish hasn't made a lot of good pitches to Cruz.
On the ground to Beltre, who goes down to a knee to block it. And that'll do it. So Darvish wins that long exchange. The 11 pitches, and Cruz is retired for out number 1.
Cruz, with that at bat, may have made it tougher for Darvish to get an extra inning tonight. You never know. Darvish in the first 2 innings threw only 9 pitches in each inning.
Well, you would think that he's got enough in the tank after taking the little time on the disabled list that fatigue shouldn't be a problem here. I mean, unless he runs into a completely off the wall situation where he throws 3 or 4 hitters in a row that have 11 pitch at bats. Brett Gardner 0 for 1. He was hit by a pitch and then struck out in the 4th inning. Speedy center fielder takes a breaking ball that's just a bit low for ball 1. Gardner with a modest 2-game hitting streak going. He is 10 for his last 23 times at the plate. And he takes high. It's 2 balls, no strikes. You see Darvish taking a little more time between pitches now. And that, to me, that's always a sign of a guy that's losing the confidence in what he's throwing. Just doesn't want to get the ball back and throw it. There's a strike. And sometimes it's just 1 or 2 pitches where you take extra time. But sometimes it can signal a trend with a hitter or a pitcher almost saying, you know, I don't feel that good about what I'm doing right now. Maybe I'll take more time between pitches and see if I can put the stall tactics to work. Now the 2-1. 3-1.
Definitely his command to the first 2 hitters of the sixth inning is not what it was in the first 5 innings. Even though he got Cruz, he threw probably 4 or 5 of those 11 pitches in locations where he wasn't trying to throw them.
Gardner's a guy you want to make swing the bat. Leading off with the bigger guys coming. That's to right center field. Cruz on the run. Still going. Makes the catch. Nice running grab by Nelly Cruz. Stayed on his feet, but had to go fully extended. And takes extra bases away from Brett Gardner.
Yeah, that's probably a triple if he doesn't catch it. Fortunately, he was shading over just a little bit towards center field. That was a hard hit ball by Gardner. Nice running catch by Nelly. Not a lot of balls hit hard off of Darvish tonight. And finally, when one was hit hard, Rangers make a nice play on it.
Well, that is out number 2, and it brings up Ichiro. Suzuki 0 for 2, a pop out and a ground out. And that keeping Gardner out of scoring position, and exactly what you have to have when you have Suzuki coming up, who is notoriously much better hitter with runners in scoring position. You need to keep the bases empty if you possibly can. Tapper to third, Beltre. Right there to throw him out, and that will do it. Oh, a good defensive play, a long at bat, won by Darvish, and then the little Tapper. 3 up, 3 down, 5.5 in the books. Rangers leading 1-0 on Fox Sports Southwest. Tonight's jackpot is worth $600 and dinner for two at Sonic Drive-In. Tonight, the Rangers are hitting for Jimmy Bates from Ennis. And if a Ranger hits a grand slam this inning, Jimmy Bates from Ennis will win $25,000. You can register at any participating Sonic restaurant. A.J. Pierzynski 2 for 2 tonight. Facing Ivan Nova to start off the Rangers' sixth. And taking all the way, a breaking ball drops in for strike one. Pierzynski a single to left, a single to right. He has half the Ranger hit total tonight as Nova comes back, and that high fastball fouled straight back and out of play. Well, Ivan Nova continuing his streak of excellent pitching for the Yankees. I mentioned 2 starts ago he had his first major league complete game and win over Baltimore. It's chop foul. Last time against Kansas City he had 8 solid innings of 1-run baseball against the Royals. We also talked about the Yankees and Rangers having a lot in common as far as injuries. 16 different uses of the disabled list for both ball clubs since last part of May. Yankees haven't been hit too hard on the pitching front, and that's the one thing that saved them. They had pretty much their entire pitching staff intact, and they've been pitching well. Otherwise, boy, with all the problems offensively that they've had, you get a look at the most players assigned to the disabled list. The Padres joined the Yankees and the Rangers. There's a rocket. Cano flags down. Shallow right field, throws out Pierzynski, and AJ has his first hitless at bat of the night. He is 2 for 3. One away for Elvis Andrus.
And the Rangers have 4 singles in this game. Nova so far in 10 games, 7 starts coming into the game, and tonight has only given up 9 extra base hits. Last year, Nova gave up 87 extra base hits. That was tied for the most in baseball, and it's more extra base hits than any Yankee pitcher has ever given up. So he has definitely cut down on that. Mentioned that he gave up 28 home runs last year. He only gave up 13 the year before, and he's only given up 3 this year. So he must have a much more consistent sinker this year, and most of the hits have been singles.
Elvis showing bunt. Pulls the bat back. It's a strike anyway. That had Luis Cruz, the third baseman, charging down the line. And Yankees employ a little bit different defense against Elvis than what we are used to seeing with the first baseman Overbay quite a ways in front of the cut of the grass to prevent or to defend against that push bunt by Elvis. 2-1 the count. Andrus is grounded out and struck out tonight. 0 for 2 and currently hitting at .244. Inside, 3-1. You'd love to be able to get Elvis on with 1 out here and let David Murphy do some swinging with Andrus and the ability to swipe a bag if he chooses. Nova's 3-1 pitch on the way. Inside, ball 4. And Elvis aboard. So Nova with a 1-out walk. That is the 3rd walk issued by the Yankee right-hander.
Yeah, that's not a walk if you're Joe Girardi that you want to see, putting a good base runner on base. Kinsler walked to start the game and came around to score the game's only run. Rangers hoping to add to that. Getting Elvis on is a nice start.
Yeah, we might add too that Kinsler had a stolen base in the first. So
yep.
No, you can run against Nova. He's a little bit slow to first base. He's also a big guy who's not real fast to home plate. Long set, and the pitch is outside. David Murphy taking ball 1. Murph is flying deep to left and grounded to third tonight. Now Chris Stewart going out to have a chat with Ivan Nova. Stewart undoubtedly has reminded the right-hander, hey, I'll worry about the runner. You just make sure he stops. And you worry about making a good pitch after that. Stewart, with his throwing ability, certainly has shown the ability to shut down a running game with his arm. Elvis sneaking a little peek in there to see if he can see what pitch might be called. And he's driven back with a throw. Got to be careful when you're trying to look in there a little bit to find out what pitch is being called. If somebody on the opposing team lets the catcher know that's what you're doing, they'll set up a little pickoff play. Catcher will sit there and put a target up for you and flash out some signs, and he'll watch the runner out of the corner of his eye to see when that runner's view or eyes turn toward home plate. And as soon as they turn toward home plate, he'll drop his glove, and the pitcher will make a pickoff play to first. 1-1 to Murphy. Elvis stepping up, taking a look right there. If you're the catcher now and you see his eyes coming in toward home plate, you want to alert your pitcher to that and say, okay, we're going to get him now. 2-1 to Murphy. Murphy checking with Gary Pettis down at third, and see if Ron Washington might put something on with Andrus at first. Good speed, and of course David Murphy handles the bat pretty well. Rangers have not had much going offensively since that first inning. And Elvis will draw a throw. Fourth all-time in Ranger history, Elvis Andrus, and Toby Harrah just one ahead for the number 3 slot. Remember Ian Kinsler getting the top spot earlier this year. There goes the runner. The pitch is low. The throw to second is not in time. Stolen base for Elvis Andrus. Just got the left hand in front of the tag by Eduardo Nunez.
Well, one thing for sure, these bases were not stolen on Chris Stewart. He's made 2 nice throws. One to Kinsler was right on the bag. Elvis gets a pretty good lead and a pretty good jump. He takes a look in. He knows he's got to steal the base. And that throw was right on the bag again. Stewart with strong, accurate throws, and he didn't take long to get rid of him either.
3-1 pitch to Murphy is chopped to the right side. Cano. Sidearm flip to first. That is out number 2. On to third goes Andrus. And he's there now for Giovanni Soto. Yeah, Chris Stewart, and we go back to the series in June in New York. He threw out a couple of them. He threw out Leonis Martin, and I believe he threw out Elvis Andrus in that series too by quite a bit.
Well, we can see why.
Yeah.
Quick delivery, strong, accurate arm.
Here's Soto, who's 0 for 1, a strikeout and a walk. Trying to pick up Andrus from third. Breaking ball from Ivan Nova is a bit outside for ball 1. Nova working from the stretch. A check of third. Soto, a drive, right center field. Gardner in a hurry, it's over his head. One hop and off the wall. Kinsler, or should say Andrus, scores into second, the RBI double. Giovanni Soto, the Rangers lead 2-0.
That's taking advantage of your opportunity right there. Giovanni doesn't get a lot of opportunities. We've seen him have a big game against Detroit. He had a 3-run homer earlier in the season against Justin Verlander here. And now in a real tight game. Not much margin for error when it's 1-0. He drilled that ball over Gardner's head. Really hit that ball hard. Pick up an insurance run. That ball didn't sink very much and right down the middle of the plate. Giovanni was ready for it.
Well, the Rangers getting something tonight they have not had since well before the All-Star break, and that's 2 out base hits to score runs. There's a base hit to right field. Soto is being held up at third as Suzuki got to the ball in a hurry. Leonis Martin slapping one through the right side. Larry Rothschild, the pitching coach, going to go out and have a chat with Ivan Nova.
Well, Ichiro still throws very well in right field. He's a very aggressive right fielder. He loves to throw. He charges the ball. He can get rid of it quickly. Soto is not the Rangers' fastest runner. So even though there's 2 outs and the third base coach would tend to gamble with 2 outs, Gary Pettis gets down the line and holds him up all the way. Just wasn't much of an opportunity to score on that ball with Ichiro playing right field.
Yep. Well, Gary Pettis has had a little more action over there at third base in this inning than he's had in the first 5 frames tonight. Runners at the corners, a run across. Rangers leading 2-0. And Ian Kinsler, 0 for 2 with a walk and a run scored, steps to the plate. But the Rangers, as I was saying, twice tonight now have had 2 out run-scoring base hits. There goes Martin from first. The throw to second. They got it. Well, that is a quick release, and Jonas Martin shot down trying to swipe second base. So the side retired, but the Rangers come up with a run on 2 hits and a walk, and they leave one. On to the 7th we go. 2-0 Texas on Fox Sports Southwest. A 2-0 lead now. Single runs in the first and the 6th inning. Darvish has made them stand up. Just 3 base runners allowed. Only 1 has reached second base tonight. Ian Kinsler, Elvis Andrus each walked, stole second, and scored for the Rangers' manufactured runs. But some key 2-out base hits, too, brought them home. Robinson Cano leading off, and he goes the other way, hits it well to left field. Murphy into the corner, pulls up right on the warning track, and handles that for out number 1. Well, folks, in case you missed it, and I'm sure you've heard it from other sources, but in case you haven't, today the Rangers announced Matt Garza is the newest member of the Texas Rangers. They swung a deal with the Chicago Cubs to bring Garza in. A package of 4 players headed by Justin Grimm and Mike Holt. C.J. Edwards will go to Chicago, and Garza will be here late tonight, according to John Daniels. And it looks like he will start either Wednesday or Thursday. We have a get-together with Ron Washington and Mike Maddox and company and see what best fits his plans and the Rangers' plans. Again, Garza was supposed to throw tonight for Chicago in Arizona. This was his day, and I'm sure the Rangers don't really want him to sit around any longer than he's comfortable with. But at the same time, they've got plans that they've made too for guys.
Yeah, and I guess if you wanted him to have not as much time off, it wouldn't hurt Derek Holland to get another day's rest. I guess push him back a day. That's probably help him. He threw 119 pitches his last start.
Yes.
So he'd be, I would think, fine with it. But we'll wait till they meet and talk and let you know what they decide.
2 balls, no strikes to count. Lyle Overbay possesses the only hit against Darvish tonight. Looping single. Now he has the next base hit as he lines this one sharply to right field. So Overbay 2 for 3 now as he has a 1-out single here in the 7th inning. And Robbie Ross, the left-hander, got up while the Rangers were at bat and started throwing. Yu Darvish, who has a very modest pitch count, only 85, and just a contingency plan of having Ross ready if the Rangers were to call for him. And I would think the first opportunity would be Travis Hafner, who is coming up after Vernon Wells. Wells, the hitter at the plate now. 1 ball, no strikes. Vernon tonight has struck out and fly to center field. Wells, a 3-game hitting streak coming into play here this evening. Check swing on a pretty good breaking ball, but it's 2-0. Vernon 10 for his last 33 times to the plate. Darvish a peek over at first base, and now Wells tired of waiting, so he backs out. Now the Ranger right-hander is set. And ball 3 is low. And Giovanni Soto getting a new ball, and he's going to go out and have a talk.
He struck Vernon Wells out the first time with 95-mile-an-hour fastballs. Got him to pop up to center field a little bit late on a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. But now here in the 7th inning, it is the breaking ball that he's thrown, and now he's behind 3 balls and no strikes in a 2-run game. Not a spot you want to be in. Now a fastball with a little bit different proposition with Wells up there. Been looking for that all the way.
Yeah, and on 3-0, you can't afford just to throw it right down the middle. He had the green light, but he fouled it straight back. That pitch was up. Had a little late movement to it, and Vernon couldn't get on top of it.
And Wells is thinking to himself right now, he's looking fastball all the way. You can tell by the look on his face and his body language, he'd like to have another shot at that.
Yeah.
There was a time in his career where that wouldn't have been a foul ball. He's a great fastball hitter. Quick bat, short stroke.
Darvish with the 3-1 pitch to Wells. That's high, ball 4. Well, 2 aboard with 1 out. Hafner coming to the plate, and the question is, will he face Darvish or will he face Robbie Ross? Ron Washington going out to the mound, and he will answer that question for us here momentarily. Wash the slow walk out there, and just as he crosses the first baseline, he signals to the bullpen, I want the left-hander to come in. So Darvish night will be finished after 6 1/3 innings of work. He leaves with 2 runners aboard, his responsibility. The Rangers leading 2-0. And the large crowd here standing and giving Yu Darvish a nice ovation as the right-hander heads toward the Ranger dugout. So a pitching change underway here at Rangers Ballpark in Arlington. Robbie Ross coming on. Yu Darvish is finished. We will take a timeout. Be right back after this. of up to 45%. You get 4 tickets, 4 hot dogs, and Cokes. Plus, you get 2 Kids Zones wristbands. And you also get 1 souvenir program. Order your Coca-Cola family pack for any non-premier game at TexasRangers.com/specials. Robbie Ross, the 23-year-old left-hander, on now to face Travis Hafner. Robbie, as you can see, appearing in his 43rd game. 253 earned run average. He's got the tying runs aboard, and Hafner takes outside for ball 1. Hafner tonight has popped out and walked.
The Yankees have 4 right-handed hitting extra men tonight. Romine is the backup catcher. He has 75 or 76 at bats. The other 3 guys together have 17 at bats. So it's not the kind of bench that Joe Girardi can go to frequently in key spots. He's got several young players that are probably in the big leagues for the first time with very little experience. So in this situation, you've got a left-hand hitter, and he's going to hit against the left-hand pitcher.
Ross with a 1-1 pitch. It's fouled out of play. Yeah, the one thing about Travis Hafner, though, I don't care whether he's facing a left-hander or right-hander, you leave the ball out over the plate on him, and he's going to hit the ball to left center field with authority. That's one thing he hasn't lost. He's not quite the same hitter that he was a few years ago, but he will still do that to you.
He's probably lost 25 or 30 pounds from the time he was with Cleveland, but he still has that imposing look when he's up at the plate. He may be hitting 212, but he doesn't look like it right here.
1-2 pitch. Double play ground ball. Kinsler, Andrews, Moreland. And Robbie Ross comes in and gets the ground ball 4-6-3, and that will do it as the Yankees are gone in the 7th. No runs, a hit, and 1 man left. It's stretch time in Arlington. Rangers 2, Yankees nothing. Fox Sports Southwest. The Subway Rangers box score this evening. And who's leading off this inning? Ian Kinsler has scored a run. Walked back in the first inning. And some big hits. A.J. Brzezinski has a couple of hits tonight for the Rangers. 6 total. And Kinsler chops one foul outside third. That runs the count to a ball and a strike. Ian, other than the walk and the run scored, had a stolen base also. He has struck out and grounded to third base. Nova back to the plate. 2 balls and a strike. Ian, a .282 hitter. As he faces Ivan Nova, starting off this Rangers 7th inning. Sky to left field. Coming on, Vernon Wells. The ball hanging up for him, and Vernon makes the grab for out number 1. And Mitch Moreland will be next.
First baseman, Mitch.
Before Mitch gets in there, let's take time for a Mazda game break. Once again, here's John Radigan. All right, thanks, John. Boy, how about that? The Astros haven't beaten Oakland, well, since they came into the American League. The Astros, anyway. I know it was just this year.
But they played a couple of games against the Rangers this year where they could have beaten anybody.
Yeah.
They looked like gangbusters a couple of times against the Rangers. So you never know.
A strike on the outside corner. 1 ball and 1 strike to Mitch, who's 0 for 3 tonight. Got some more rehab news for you from Frisco. Moreland, ground ball up the middle. Cano thrown across his body. That's Mitch. That's out number 2. And Nelly Cruz now coming up. Go back to that all-important pitch, Robbie Ross to Travis Hafner.
He kept the ball on the inside part of the plate, right on the inside corner. Hafner hit it off the handle and not very hard. It turned out to be a nice, easy double play for the Rangers. Big double play in a 2-0 game with a couple of men on.
87th double play turned by the Rangers this year. And Cruz takes low. Rehab news, I'm going to tell you about Colby Lewis outing. Worked 3 innings tonight for Frisco against Midland. Threw 56 pitches, gave up 3 runs on 5 hits. There's a drive deep left center field. Forget about that one. Goodbye. A Cruz missile into the Yankee bullpen. The Rangers lead 3-0.
Nelly would be the first to say the last couple of days he's had some pitches to hit. Timing might have been off just a little bit. He fouled a couple of them off. That time he got one to hit, and he didn't miss that one. Watch that one right into the Yankee bullpen. Another nice big insurance run. That one didn't sink very much until it sunk into the bullpen out there.
Yeah, about 420 feet from home plate. Ooh.
First 2 runs scored after people had walked. Kinsler had walked, Andrus had walked. They each stole a base and came around to score. The only one walking on that was Nelly around the bases.
412 feet after it left Nelly's back. Beltre chops it foul. It's 2 balls and a strike. Anyway, to finish that line for Colby Lewis tonight against Midland for Frisco, 5 hits, 3 runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. It was with 3 full innings of work. So Colby continuing to work himself back into pitching shape. Right now at Double-A Frisco. Seems like all the news on the rehab front has been positive. Matt Harrison saying that his rehab is going well, maybe a little bit quicker than they expected this time. In fact, Dana Larson will have a little bit more for you in just a bit during our telecast. 3-2, the count to Beltre. 2 outs, bases empty, a run across on Nelly Cruz' 23rd home run of the year. Breaking ball to right center field. Up in the air long enough to allow Suzuki to get over there. Ichiro puts it away. And that'll do it, but not before Nelly Cruz hits home run number 23 and RBI number 70. Going to be Tanner Shepard's coming in to join the fracas here in the 8th inning. Rangers leading 3-0.
it has to be Win and Jin. They come all the way in from Tokyo to watch Yu Darvish. First time here at the ballpark. They'll be here for the next 4 games. What do you think of Yu's performance?
Yeah, his pitch is very sharp, and it's very exciting for me. Yeah, he's the #1 pitch from the Japan. So, yeah, it's really good. It's
Very
really
good. Well, here's the bag. Congratulations. Enjoy your stay. Anything else you'd like to say?
I think I like this ballpark, and the atmosphere is very exciting. I like it. Yeah. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Amazing.
And let's go Rangers.
Let's go Rangers. There we go. All right, way to go, guys. Enjoy the rest of the game. Thanks, Buzz. Good day, mate.
A couple of pretty nice 97-mile-an-hour sinkers right there to Eduardo Nunez.
Nunez down in the count, a ball and 2 strikes. Tanner Scheppers going to work here with some rested stuff. Let's put it that way. Scheppers had 11 days off between an outing prior to the All-Star break against Baltimore and the outing he had here 2 nights ago against Baltimore. Here are the numbers for Tanner this year. 1-2 pitch. That ball's hammered down the left field line. It's hooking and going just foul.
Yeah, that's the last thing you want to do when you're featuring a 97-mile-an-hour sinker is hang a breaking ball. Nunez had the fastball thrown by him all night long tonight. Got away with one.
Scheppers to the wind. Again, the 1-2 pitch. Mismatch.
Yep, that's right. Don't give him a chance to hit a hanging curveball. Just keep pounding that fastball by him.
Catcher Chris Stewart.
The bullpen just continues to get the job done. They just don't give much up. Robbie Ross came into a key situation, got the double play. Hopefully Tanner and Joe Nathan will finish this game off.
Yeah, the Ranger bullpen has just been phenomenal. Their ERA under 2 since the beginning of June. Boy, there is a saw-off job. Elvis, quick release in time to get Stewart by a couple of steps. That ball might have hit Stewart between the hands on the bat. I'm not sure. 2 gone. Luis Cruz coming up. And give you the Twitter poll results tonight. AT&T Twitter poll question that we asked. Would you like to see the Rangers retire Pudge Rodriguez #7? And there is the man we're talking about. 91% of you said, yeah, sure. Why not? He deserves it as much as anybody. David Murphy would gladly give up the #7. The Rangers decided to retire it in honor of Pudge. Fastball inside, 2 balls and no strikes to Luis Cruz. Cruz, a pop out and a ground out tonight. And he gets fisted, a roller out to short.
How about
Elvis
those 3?
slipped a little bit. Able to regain his footing, and yeah, 2 saw-off jobs and a heater that just got thrown by Eduardo Nunez. 3 up, 3 down after 7.5. Rangers by 3.
Yankees as we head to the bottom of the 8th inning. It's been an exciting night here at Rangers Ballpark in Arlington. John Radigan in the Captain Morgan Club getting ready for Rangers Live, presented by Esurance. Lots more on the acquisition of Matt Garza. We hope to go one-on-one with John Daniels. Also on the program, lots of postgame from you, Darvish, and others involved in this one. And we'll even give you a Big 12 football update. Media Days happening in Dallas. It's all coming up on Rangers Live, presented by Esurance, right after the game. Buzz and Tom.
All right, John, thank you. Now, Jabba Chamberlain now is coming out of the Yankee bullpen to take over as we head to the bottom of the 8th inning. Chamberlain replaces Ivan Nova, who worked the first 7 innings.
And Chamberlain struggling a lot this year. Ouch.
Holy cow.
that had some noise to it. And not the kind of noise you want to hear as a hitter either.
Well, Brzezinski now has 3 bats made out of 1.
It sounded like the piece of furniture breaking right there.
It did. Wow. No one gone. Elvis Andrus now will face Chamberlain, the 27-year-old. You take the place of Nova. Ivan Nova worked 7 innings, gave up 7 hits. All 3 runs, they were earned. 3 walks, 4 strikeouts. And the pitch is high. Elvis 0 for 2, but he had a walk and scored a big run in the 6th inning. Ground ball off the glove of Cruz as he dove. He'll have no play, and Elvis will have a 1-out single. Well, Cruz did a great job of just getting leather on that ball.
That was quick movement right there to just stop that ball. That was a smash by Elvis. Cruz has already made 1 highlight reel play today. That would have been the 2nd in the same game. He made the beautiful play off Mitch Moreland going down the left field line back to the plate. And he was able to get the glove on that to knock it down. He comes up and makes that play. Boy, he's going on that highlight reel twice.
Well, base hit, the 8th of the night for the Rangers. Elvis is first. He is at first. And David Murphy, who is 0 for 3, steps in. He was swinging fastball, and unfortunately, he got the breaking ball. It's 0-1. David is grounded out twice and flied to deep left field. 42,058 on hand here for the first game of this 4-game series. Rangers and the Yankees. 1-1. That's a pitching matchup. Alexi Ogando and Phil Hughes is scheduled to hook it up tomorrow, and then it's kind of undecided. We'll have to wait until tomorrow to fill you in on the new acquisition, Matt Garza, where he is going to be slated into the rotation. Right now, Derek Holland and Andy Pettit are scheduled for Wednesday's game, but you heard John Daniels talking about the trade. He said they're going to decide after having conversations both internally and with Garza where he's going to go. On the move, the throw not in time as Elvis able to get his 2nd stolen base of the night. It looked like the throw beat him, but Elvis able to elude the tag. Slapped down by Robinson Cano. 21st stolen base of the year. Yep. Missed him.
Pretty close play. He must not have tagged him.
The Rangers with 3 steals tonight. First 2 led immediately to runs. We'll see if that's the case here. Count to Murphy, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Or make that 2-1. The pitch on the outside corner, it was 1-2. And that's it. David Murphy called out on strikes. That is out number 2, and it brings up Giovanni Soto. And as Soto walks to home plate, let's sit down and say hello again to Dana Larson. Dana?
Buzz, you were talking about Colby Lewis moments ago. He does have a handful of more rehab starts, which puts his target return around middle of August. And now Matt Harrison may actually challenge him for first man back. As you said, Matt Harrison's recovery.
Oh, Ichiro, a great play as he reaches out, grabs it, bangs into the padding out there. A great, outstanding defensive play by Ichiro. And Dana, if we can, we'll come back to you after the half-inning break. So the score remains the Rangers 3, the Yankees nothing. It's Joe Nathan time at Rangers Ballpark as we head to the ninth. Is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Don't miss the Ford Summer Spectacular featuring blockbuster deals. Now playing at your best in Texas Ford dealers. By AT&T UVerse TV. Check availability at 1-800-PIC-ATT. Rethink possible. And by Progressive. Visit Progressive.com today. The twilight hour here at Rangers Ballpark in Arlington. Joe Nathan on the hill trying to secure a streak-ending Ranger victory. Rangers have lost 4 in a row. And Nathan trying to nail down his 31st save of the year as he deals to the top of the order, and that's Brett Gardner.
Well, it's been a pretty much spectacular first half for Joe Nathan. I don't know that he's ever had better numbers at the All-Star break than these numbers. 30 out of 31, a 1.36 ERA. Opponents hitting below 150. And a great inning in the All-Star game. Just can't do much better than this.
And Joe hasn't worked in a Ranger game anyway since the 8th of July. So it's 2 weeks today since Joe has been on the hill other than the All-Star game. 0-2 to Brett Gardner. Liced out a play down the left side. We'll try it again. Gardner, a strikeout and a line drive to right. A nice running catch by Nelly Cruz took extra bases away from Gardner with, at the time in the 6th inning, a 1-run Ranger lead. That was a critical play in this game. High and tight, fastball missed. It's 1-2. Check swing, the pitch in the dirt. The appeal down to third, but no swings to Carapazza, and the count moves to 2-2. Now, if you were with us last half inning, we were talking to Dana Larson about the rehab stuff, and she was right in the middle of her sentence when Ichiro Suzuki so rudely interrupted her. Let's go back down to Dana and give her a chance to finish that, Dana.
Well, thank you. I blame Ichiro for interrupting me, but he will not interrupt Matt Harrison's progress, and that is the good news. Matt threw a bullpen today, his last bullpen. Now he will throw batting practice Wednesday and Friday and could be out on a rehab assignment as soon as next week. He is targeting, as I said early, mid-August for his return, which is certainly ahead of schedule, and that is great news, guys.
Well, that it is, Dana. I was seeing Matt today in the clubhouse. He had a grin from ear to ear. He was feeling good about things.
First one back gets a spot in the rotation.
That's right.
You're going to run out of spots if everybody gets healthy.
That's a nice problem to have.
Exactly.
Gardner being a little, pretty much of a pest to Joe Nathan. AT&T, Tony, will be right back here tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, Fox Sports Southwest. The Rangers and Yankees in the second installment of this 4-game series. And that'll be Alexi Ogando on the hill for the Rangers. Phil Hughes, who is not having a whole lot of fun this year, going for the Yankees. Right now, Joe Nathan trying to figure out how in the world he can dispose of Brett Gardner. More than 42,000 strong on hand, waving their rally towels. They'd like to see this Yankee team snuffed out in any rally attempts. And again, out of play to the left.
The 10th pitch coming up to Gardner right here. Keeping the ball away from him. Most of those pitches aren't even strikes that he's fouling off.
Again, the 2-2. Here's another one fouled straight back. And Nathan, as you saw, went to the slider that time and couldn't get it in quite a good enough location to have Gardner either swing and miss or put it in play weakly. We'll try it again. Nathan has the sign he wants, the right-hander. Back to the plate. Outside, 3-2. But Gardner trying to get aboard to start the Yankee ninth. He'll be followed by the right fielder, Ichiro Suzuki. Yankees with just 2 hits this evening. They also had a walk, make that 2 walks against Yu Darvish, and a hit batter. Payoff pitch. And again, shot foul by Gardner. Well, this will be at least a 13-pitch at bat to start off the 9th inning. Nathan standing kind of side saddle, and the pitching rubber goes into the wind. Again, the 3-2, and again, a foul ball.
There's been 2 long at bats in this game. This one is the longest. It'll be a 14 pitch at bat. Cruz had a 10 or 11 pitch at bat against Yu Darvish.
Right.
Really just want to throw it underhand, say, here, hit it somewhere.
There's one.
That's all you're going to do. Do it about 10 pitches earlier.
Leonis Martin over and almost straight away left field. Able to make the catch, and 14 pitches later, Joe Nathan has the first out here in the 9th inning.
That's a lot of pitches on the outside part of the plate right there. Well, you wanted to get Gardner. The Yankees don't have a lot of firepower, but this is the top of the order. If Gardner and Suzuki get on, then you've got one of the best hitters in the league, Cano, up. And with a 3-run lead, you want to make sure Cano doesn't hit as the tying run.
Ichiro a little tardy pulling the trigger on that swing. 0-1. Suzuki, a couple of ground outs and a pop out tonight. See the career numbers against Joe Nathan, 3 for 13. Ground ball by Mitch Moreland in the right field, and Suzuki aboard with just the 3rd hit of the night for the Yankees. Well, that makes that at bat to Gardner even more important now as we followed up with Suzuki's base hit.
And a slider down and in, kind of right in Ichiro's wheelhouse.
Well, one out now with Cano coming up. The Rangers shift around in the infield a bit. Ian Kinsler moving just about to the halfway point between second and first, and nearly behind the bag at second, Elvis Andrus. Cano 0 for 3 tonight. He has grounded into a double play. Also had another ground out and a fly ball to left field. Suzuki not being held at first, and Joe Nathan drops in the breaking ball. It's 0-1. Cano with a batting average currently at .304. 0 for 5, as you see, against Joe Nathan in Cano's career. Swing and a foul back, 0-2.
Joe's thrown 18 pitches already. 15 of them have been strikes. It's not like he's having a problem out there.
Yeah, this pitch count run up is not from being all over the place.
No. Well, Cano's already hit into a double play. One more right here would save Joe a few pitches. Put an end to this ball game too.
The 0-2 pitch coming from Nathan. And instead, home plate umpire Wally Bell walked away from the proceedings. Giovanni Soto doing a little pitcher protection. And hey, the guy's going to be out there hurting himself if you allow time to be called right there when he started into his into his motion.
Yeah, that was pretty borderline right there. Cano knew it was borderline too, because he stayed right in his stance. He said timeout, but he was prepared not to get it.
Now Nathan okays the sign. Cano ready. And the pitch in the dirt. Boy, what a stop by Soto. Ichiro not taking any chances, trying to advance down 3 runs. But Soto got, all he could do was get his body in front of it. Ball bounding out in front of home plate. That's the toughest one the catcher has to block. 1-2. The count to Robinson Cano. Nathan sets. The pitch on the way. Got him swinging. Looked like that backup slider that Nathan occasionally will feature, and it got Cano. That's out number 2.
Whatever it was slow and it was going away from Cano. Fooled him for sure.
So 2 gone. Lyle Overbay, who has 2 of the 3 Yankee hits tonight, steps to the plate. Nathan's first pitch. 1-0. Overbay 0 for 5 against Joe Nathan. Overbay brought in as kind of a backup. What the Yankees felt was going to be Mark Teixeira regaining health and taking over at first base. And turns out that Overbay's become the first baseman. Rip and a miss. Suzuki will take second base on defensive indifference. Count is 1-1 to Lyle Overbay. Soto out to briefly mention something to Joe Nathan, probably along the lines of, we're going to use this series of signs with a runner at second base now. Ron Washington and his coaching staff keeping an eye on things, hoping that Rangers can close out this win here tonight. 1-1 pitch. 1-2. Oh, the bottom just fell out of that. 42,058 rally towels being waved around in support of Joe Nathan and the Rangers. Yankees down to their final strike. Rangers trying to snap a 4-game losing streak and take the first of 4 here against the Yankees. Nathan says yes. The right-hander sets at the belt. The 1-2 pitch. In the air, right center field. Moving back, Leonis Martin settles underneath it and puts it away. The Rangers have snapped their 4-game losing streak. Joe Nathan picks up his 31st save of the year in 32 tries. And the Rangers back in the win column here tonight. 3-0. The final is Yu Darvish. Comes back and gets 6 1/3 shutout innings under his belt, just 2 hits. He moves to 9-4 with the win. And Joe Nathan, as we mentioned, his 31st save in 32 opportunities. So the Rangers at 55-44 now will await the outcome of the game between the A's and the Astros down in Houston.
Overbay a little bit out in front of that off-speed pitch. Joe Nathan bent over. He wasn't sure how well that Overbay hit that ball, but he didn't get all of it. Easy out for Leonis Martin. Hugs in the dugout. Nice to get back on the winning side of the ledger tonight.